Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at something that's, well, constantly in our hands and kind of shaping our days, social media. But instead of the usual focus on, connections and funny videos, we're going to unpack the less sunny side.
Right.
We're drawing from a recent YouTube podcast script. It's called The Dark Side of Social Media, Cyberbullying, Misinformation, and Mental Health.
Yeah, and it's quite detailed.
Think of this as your, express route to grasping the real challenges these platforms throw our way.
Exactly. We've got this source material that really lays out the significant negative impacts. Our goal is to navigate through it, pull out the most important insights on things like cyberbullying, misinformation, mental health.
All the big ones.
Yeah, so you can really understand the gravity of these issues without getting bogged down in, endless scrolling yourself.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Starting with something particularly nasty, cyberbullying. The script really highlights how this is different from, say, old school bullying. It doesn't just stop at the end of the school day, does it?
No, it doesn't. And think about it, you can't just leave it at the school gates anymore.
Right.
It follows you into your most private space, your phone, blurring the lines between online and offline in a way that, well, it makes it feel inescapable.
Yeah, inescapable. And to give you a sense of how widespread this actually is, the Cyberbullying Research Center did a study back in 2023, found that over 36% of teens have gone through cyberbullying. That's a huge number.
It is a huge number. And the source material includes a really powerful, though it's anonymous, story.
Right.
A 14-year-old describes how it started with just mean messages, but then it blew up into fake accounts, manipulated photos, even death threats.
Wow.
You can almost feel that desperation they describe, like being trapped.
You really can. It brings home this feeling that there's nowhere safe, sort of. The script emphasizes that cyberbullying, it can hit anyone at any time. And it points to anonymous apps, which sadly seem to give bullies a kind of free pass to act without consequence.
Right, and what's fascinating there is how that online anonymity can really lower people's inhibitions. It creates this distance,
A distance from the real hurt they're causing.
Exactly. The source further highlights just how big this problem is with even more stats.
Right. It mentions that 42% of young people overall have been bullied online.
Which is even higher, yeah.
Yeah, more than that teen-specific figure. And maybe the most chilling statistic is that 1 in 5 cyberbullying victims have thought about harming themselves.
That's a devastating link. It truly is.
And the fact that only about 10% of those who are targeted actually tell their parents or teachers,
So low.
it really shows the fear, maybe shame, or I don't know, maybe even a lack of faith in getting help.
Yeah, it really shines a light on the hidden nature of this online battle, as the script puts it. Sort of an invisible war.
The script does offer some hope, though. A call to action. It urges everyone to speak up, report it, and crucially, to support the victim.
Support is key.
And for parents, the advice is clear. Talk to your kids about online safety. Just reminding us all that, behind every screen is a real person with real feelings.
Such a simple but vital message. We all need to hear that.
Absolutely.
It is. Now, the source material shifts gears a bit, moves to another major worry. Misinformation.
Yes, fake news.
Yeah, it describes this as a dangerous side effect of social media, where basically, well, there are no real gatekeepers. Anyone can post anything.
And the thing to remember here, you see, is that often the most attention-grabbing stuff isn't necessarily true, right?
Not at all.
The more shocking something is, the more likely it is to be shared, whether it's based on facts or not.
And the script gives us some pretty alarming examples of how this can have serious real-world consequences.
Like?
Absolutely. Pizzagate, for instance. That conspiracy is a really disturbing example of how a completely made-up story can actually lead to real violence.
Right. The guy firing a gun inside the pizza shop.
Exactly. Based purely on this false narrative circulating online. And then during the pandemic, remember all those false claims about miracle cures?
Oh, yeah. That stuff was everywhere.
Directly putting people's health at risk. Just dangerous.
It's scary to think about the real harm that can come from something that just starts as a post online.
It is.
The script also includes an interesting expert insight here, pointing out that social media systems, the algorithms, they're often set up to reward engagement, not accuracy.
And that's a crucial point to understand, isn't it?
Definitely.
These algorithms, they're not just random. They're designed to keep your attention. And unfortunately, things that provoke strong emotions are like really novel.
Grab us.
They grab our attention more than information that is factual, but maybe less exciting, less flashy. So this design can unintentionally spread misinformation,
Yeah.
makes it incredibly hard to stop once it gets going.
And the numbers really back this up. The script says that false information spreads 6 times faster than the truth on platforms like Twitter. 6 times.
6 times faster. That's a staggering difference. It truly
It
is.
spreads like wildfire.
And the source material rightly brings up the growing problem of AI-generated deepfakes.
Oh boy, yeah.
And this is where it gets even trickier for you, for everyone. We're talking about AI-created videos or images that can convincingly fake someone saying or doing something they never did.
Scary stuff.
As these get more sophisticated, harder to spot, the danger of like malicious misinformation campaigns just keeps increasing.
So, okay, what can you and I do
Mhm.
as individuals? The script does give us some practical tips, thankfully, on how to spot fake news.
Which is useful.
Yeah, the first one is check the source. Is it a reputable website?
Mm-hmm.
Seems basic, but
But so important. Really looking at where the information is coming from is the first line of defense, always.
okay, what else?
The next tip is look for evidence. Are there credible links or studies? So it encourages you to dig a little deeper, see if there's actual support for the claims being made.
Right, don't just take the headline at face value. Then there's the advice to reverse image search.
Hmm.
Many fake stories use old or edited photos.
Oh, that's a really handy tool to have in your online toolkit. Quick way to debunk things sometimes.
Definitely.
And finally, the really important reminder, think before sharing, even if it feels true. Verify first.
That pause.
That little pause to think critically can make a huge difference in stopping the spread. Just take a breath.
Yeah. The script wraps up this part by saying that while, okay, social media companies need to take responsibility,
They do?
in the meantime, we all have to be more critical. It puts some of the onus back on us as users, too.
It's definitely a shared responsibility. Can't just be on the platforms or just on the users. It's both.
Makes sense.
Now, the final area the script looks at is how social media affects our mental health,
Okay.
suggesting it might not be talked about enough, and even proposing that these platforms might be fundamentally rewiring our brains.
Whoa, that's a pretty strong statement to consider, isn't it?
It is, and the study results mentioned in the script are quite concerning.
Yeah.
It says that teens who spend 3 or more hours daily on social media are twice as likely to suffer from depression.
Twice as likely for 3 hours plus a day. That's
Yeah.
a really significant link to think about.
It really highlights how maybe spending a lot of time on these platforms might be taking away from other things.
Yeah.
Things important for good mental health
Like face-to-face interaction.
or hobbies. Exactly. And also the pressures and the comparisons that are just sort of built into the social media experience. The script points out that a huge 70% of users admit they compare their lives to others online.
70%.
Uh-huh.
That constant comparison game seems almost like a built-in feature of these platforms, doesn't it?
It really does.
All those carefully chosen highlights, the perfect moments. It can create really unrealistic expectations, leave you feeling like your own life doesn't quite measure up.
Exactly. That curated reality versus, actual reality. And unfortunately, the script ends a little abruptly here.
Oh.
It just cuts off with the phrase FOMO, fear of missing, just sort of hanging there.
Ah, yes, it cuts off mid-sentence. But the implication is pretty clear for you, for the listener, that fear of missing out,
Yeah, FOMO.
which is definitely fueled by seeing everyone else's curated online lives. It's likely a big part of the negative mental health effects.
Seems very likely. So maybe to recap our exploration of the script, we've seen how cyberbullying is this persistent, damaging form of online harassment. Really alarming numbers, those personal stories.
Yeah.
Very impactful.
Right.
We've looked at how misinformation can spread so quickly and have real-world dangers, emphasizing how important it is for all of us to be critical thinkers online.
Critical thinking, definitely key.
And we've touched on the worrying connections between spending a lot of time on social media and negative mental health outcomes, especially for young people, driven partly by comparing ourselves to others and that FOMO.
Exactly. So while social media definitely gives us ways to connect and share information, lots of positives, no doubt.
For sure.
These darker realities that the script highlights, the cyberbullying, the misinformation, the impact on our mental well-being, they are serious issues that we just can't ignore.
We can't. And this brings up a really important point for you, the listener, to consider. Thinking about everything we've discussed today.
Mm-hmm.
What do you believe are the most important changes needed, both, say, individually in how we use these platforms and maybe as a society? How do we reduce these negative impacts of social media while still being able to use its positive aspects?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It's a tricky balance, for sure, and it's definitely something we all need to be thinking about moving forward.